Picture this, February 21st, 2005. You see the trailers, you've seen the commercials, and you are so excited for this new endeavor that is Nickelodeon's brand new TV show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, where we follow a group of children. Fun part. We follow a group of children who are helping the Avatar learn to master all four elements. He's already a master of one, which is airbending, and we go along the journey to help him master the other three elements. Now here we are in the year of 2026, and we once again get more of our favorite gang in the form of a movie. And that is what we're going to talk about today, guys. So sit back, relax, get your snacks, and let's talk about Avatar Aang, the movie. So within this is going to be a review. So if you don't want to watch the first part, which is basically me doing a recap and talking about the movie, I will have a timestamp where you guys can click ahead and you can just watch the portions where I break down how I felt about everything in different categories, as well as my overall rating of the movie. But if you want to hear me rant and give you a quick recap of the movie itself, stick around and let's have some fun recapping Avatar Aang, the movie. So the movie takes place, which it doesn't tell us this in the movie. I had to look this up, but the movie takes place 12 years after the ending of the series. So it's after the original Avatar: The Last Airbender series, but it's still significantly before the Avatar: Legend of Korra. Aang is away. He has been collecting different artifacts from different parts of the air nomad temples, and in a sense he's collecting what is left of his people, which is completely understandable. He wakes up, he's having what seems a reoccurring dream that then turns into a nightmare of everyone that was part of his family within the air nomad temples. We can very much see that this is still affecting Aang even to this day, that he has not gotten over the fact that he left, and essentially him leaving is the reason why there are no more air nomads. Within his journey, on this one in particular, he finds an artifact of Avatar Sonam. We haven't heard about this avatar yet, so it was really interesting and also really cool to learn that Aang is also learning about a new avatar, and we are going to learn about a new avatar. So as he's placing her artifact with the other artifacts, he gets ambushed by people, and this is the very first time that we ever see non-benders as the villain within the Avatar universe. So they are calling themselves the Denied. They attack Aang. They're trying to take specifically Avatar Sonam, and once Aang is able to get away from them and fight them off, he immediately is like, we have to go back to Republic City. We have to tell everyone what's going on. Also on this day, it is the anniversary of Republic City. Now, I'm not sure which anniversary it is in particular. We don't know if it's a 10-year anniversary. We don't know if it's a 1-year anniversary, but nonetheless, Republic City is blossoming, it's booming, and it looks amazing. You see all these people within the shops. You even see the Cabbage Man. It looks beautiful. So Aang makes his appearance. Katara immediately sees that he is injured. And I kind of want to make a note of this, and I kind of want to talk about this while it's here, because within the next scene, we see Aang and Katara talking, but we also see her healing him, which is something that we're going to see throughout the movie, not just with him, but with everyone. And I know that Aang and Katara in game. We've all seen Legend of Korra. We all saw how Aang was just obsessed with Katara. However, their dynamic for me in my mind has never changed, not just because of how I always viewed them, but just because of what we see within the series. In other words, Katara is giving mom to Aang, all right? It's giving mother. It's giving no matter what, she's going to take care of me. Now, some of you might say, oh, Desi, that's a little bit of a stretch. No, I digress. Throughout the movie, you see how Katara thinks about Aang and looks after Aang in all of like this motherly type of way. At least to me, that's how I feel. That's my perspective. And if you guys have any other separate perspectives, I would love to hear them in the comments. It just never feels romantic. And it's two reasons why I feel this way. One, throughout the entirety of the movie, even though Aang at this point is supposed to be 24, 25 years old, he still feels like that 12, 13-year-old Aang that we knew in the original series. I feel like his personality just never grew. I feel as though he just doesn't get, it's not giving growth. I don't really see like too much of a growth on his part. But you could probably say that for all of them, but Aang in particular still feels very childish. So Aang is not home in Republic City too long. He sends out letters to everyone, and within each introduction of everyone, not only do we get to see what the rest of Team Avatar is up to, but we also see that Aang particularly knows how to address and talk to each one of the group members. We see how he has like all of his established relationships, and pretty much like the dynamics really never changed. Toph is in the Earth Kingdom and she's pretty much being Toph. Zuko is the Fire Lord and he is still very much himself with the way that he carries himself, where Zuko is Zuko. And Sokka is still very much Sokka. He is in the Southern Water Tribe, and we can also see that the Southern Water Tribe has come up a lot. Like, it's not what we initially saw when we were first introduced to it. And it was also nice to see that that was something that they were putting into and really, really bringing up the Southern Water Tribe. Now that Aang has sent out letters to everyone, he tells them where he is going to be. And he also leaves Appa in Republic City for Katara because, you know, how else is she going to get there? We love that, you know, very considerate boyfriend. As he's climbing the mountainside, he eventually gets up there and then he sees where this person is. Like, there's a person that's frozen just like he was. And of course, in his mind, he's like, oh, that has to be Avatar Sonam. But we know that that's not Avatar Sonam, because if that was the case, Aang, you wouldn't be here. So he doesn't think about it, which is going to be something that we're going to see throughout the entirety of this movie. Aang, without thinking, breaks it open. He breaks open the ice and there's a man that comes out. We don't know who this man is, but we do see that he is some kind of airbender because he has tattoos, but not quite the same tattoos as Aang. And so the entire cliffside starts to collapse and Aang is falling. And then eventually the unknown man wakes up for a second just to kind of, in a way, like help Aang in the moment. And right on time, Katara, Appa, and the rest of them come and they are able to secure Aang, the man that he got out of the cliffside iceberg, or clifftop iceberg. So this is when we get to the infamous clip of them trying to figure out who he is. And once he wakes up, we find out that his name is Taga, and Taga was actually a follower of Sonam. He looked up to her, he very much respected her, and he's like, she's the reason I'm an airbender. So we do find out that he is not born an airbender, but he was given airbender abilities and airbender powers. So Aang immediately gets an unhealthy attachment to this man. He doesn't vet him, he doesn't do any of that. And in a sense, I really can't necessarily blame him, because Aang's been lonely this entire time, like not even including the 100 years that he was in the iceberg, but just even now, like him trying to navigate the world, being the only airbender, and now he's not the only airbender. He has Taga. Taga finds out that Aang is the only airbender that's left. And he then asks him, you know, why are you the only one left? What happened? And then he explains to him, basically, the Fire Nation was looking for me. I wasn't there. I ran away because I found out at a young age that I was the Avatar. I got scared. I ran away. The Fire Nation knew that the next Avatar was an airbender, and they pretty much went everywhere and wiped all of them out. And he's like, well, how are you friends with the Fire Lord if the firebenders did that to your family? Because when Taga first wakes up, he immediately tries to go and attacks Toph. Because when the Earth Kingdom was coming up, they were the first ones to want to break away from all four of the nations. They wanted to create the Earth Kingdom. And within that, they also unfortunately unalived a lot of airbenders, including Taga's brothers and sisters. So Taga is also holding on and harboring this hate for people of the Earth Kingdom. He does not like earthbenders. He really doesn't. But all of them are preaching the same thing of, oh, we just want peace and we want harmony and we can all live together in peace with all the elements because all of us are friends. And in a sense, their friend group is what they are trying to perpetuate and put out into the world. Sokka's a non-bender, Katara's a waterbender, Zuko's a firebender, Toph is an earthbender, and Aang is a airbender. So they're all like, if we can be peaceful, the entire world can be peaceful. Togga's like, nah, because I come from a world where we were doing that. And then there's always going to be someone that's going to think that they are the better of it. During his time, it was the earthbenders. The earthbenders did not want to live with everyone. And during Aang's time, or I would say Aang Katara's time, because it was during that entire 100 years, it was the firebenders. So he, in his mind, his logic is peace cannot exist because there's always going to be someone that wants to basically be on top. There's always going to be someone that's like, no, I don't want to live in peace. I want to basically be the ruling group of people. So Taga is telling him basically, there's something that you can actually do. He tells him about Sonam. He tell him who Sonam is. Wait, y'all. Wait. Let me backtrack. I almost forgot something. So Aang actually goes and starts talking to his past lives. Of course, he starts with Roku. I know how y'all feel about Roku. I don't want to hear it today. I don't want to hear it today. I know how y'all feel about Roku. All right, just save it. So he asked Roku, hey, do you know anyone named Sonam? And he's like, no, you could probably ask one of your past lives. So he's going all the way down the line. And when I say like down the line, he's going through tens of, probably hundreds of avatars. And he's like, do y'all know Sonam? Do you know Sonam? And they're just like, no. Keep going back. He eventually hits an avatar and he's like, oh, you're looking for Avatar Sonam. And he's like, oh, Sonam was an avatar? That's dope. And he's like, yeah, Sonam was the avatar during the golden age of the airbenders. And she was amazing. And she was this, and that. And she had a staff that could turn people into airbenders. But nobody can talk to her. She took herself out of the line and no one knows how to get in contact with Sonam. So that was ringing up some bells. A couple of things for me. One, an avatar taking themselves out of the avatar line to where they cannot connect to the others. To me, that's like kind of cool because that just shows you that some of these avatars have not tapped into themselves spiritually enough. Because if you could just take yourself out of the line, that's kind of cool because it's like, oof, don't bother me. If you got questions, do not bother me. One. Two, it's like, what happened during her time to where, because if I take myself out of the avatar line, to me, that's almost like shame. So it's like, what happened for her to feel that level of shame to where she's like, oof, don't talk to me ever again. Don't even contact me in the afterlife. So that was something that I was really, really interested in knowing. So now going back to Taga and the gang, Zuko has his Fire Lord ship and they are heading to the area where Sonam's staff is. Of course, while they're on their way there, here come the denied. Because guess what? They have a map and they're also trying to find the staff because we find out that their beef isn't necessarily with benders as a whole. Their beef is specifically with the avatar because they're like, if the avatar was around for 100 years, we wouldn't have lost our families. We wouldn't have done this, and that. So like they're seeing the repercussions of the things that have happened to them as a point of, because Aang wasn't around, this is what happened to our families, which we can we're going to talk about that more in part 2, okay? Because we're going to do the review first, the review, and then we're going to talk about the avatars as a whole in the next one. We'll definitely be covering that. So they're fighting with the denied. There's some things that end up happening with the ship, and Taga. There's something that Taga does where Katara's like, "Ooh, we do not need to trust this man." So we all know how Aang is this very passive type of air nomad. Oh boy, Taga is the complete difference. Taga is so different. Y'all remember that one avatar? I cannot remember her name off the top of my head, but y'all remember that one avatar who could literally bend the breath out of people's lungs? Yeah, Taga was on that type of time. This man was literally trying to use his airbending to destroy the ship that the denied was on. And Katara was like, wait a minute, hold on, don't be doing that. We're not trying to unalive them. We just want to get away from them. So as all of that is going on, Katara's making a note of it. Katara, Toph, and Zuko are working like triple overtime to make sure that the ship is okay, because like I had said, the ship got damaged. Katara does not trust this man. She makes a mental note of that. So they have to go through this area called the Immortal Storm. And look, let me tell y'all, it's literally just a Midwesterner's worst nightmare. It's perpetual storms and tornadoes. It looks crazy. I was scared for them. I'm like, how are y'all going to get through that? And they're looking at Taga like, we got to go through that. Even Aang was like, whoa, we can't go around. And Taga's like, no, we got to go. We got to go through it. We got to go through it. And they're just like, our ship is damaged. How on earth are we going to get through this? So there's this little airbending boomerang technique that Taga had taught Aang how to do a little earlier in the movie. So they're doing this boomerang technique to basically get to the eye of the storm, because he's like, if we can just get through the eye of the storm, we're gonna get to the area that we need to get to. And so Aang is just like, okay. And Katara's like, whoa. Like, we need to talk about this. And Aang is just like, we ain't got nothing to talk about. Like, we just want to do it. So they're trying to do that. So that leaves Toph, Zuko, Katara, and Sokka all on the ship. So Zuko's trying to keep the ship going, firebending. Toph is, because the way that the ship is destroyed, it's like the entire upper part of it. So Toph is trying to metal bend it close. Katara is parting the seas like Moses so that the water doesn't do anything to the ship. And it's a lot. Like, it is a lot for them. And Aang and Taga are just boomeranging each other in the sky to open up the eye of the storm so that they can all get through. The first time it doesn't work, and then they do it again. And then once they get through, Katara's like, Aang, we do not need to trust this man. I saw what he tried to do to the denied. We do not need to trust him because of what he was trying to do. And then Sokka and Toph and Zuko were more upset about the fact that they did not know that they had to go through the Immortal Storm. They were like, you could have told us this. Like, that wasn't something that you felt the need to tell all of us. And Aang's like, well, we didn't have time to tell you. There really wasn't like any type of room for debate. Like, we just had to do it. So they went to this island of lion turtles. The lion turtles are obviously deceased, but this is where Sonam hid her staff. And so Aang's like, okay, I'm gonna go get the staff, because of course only the Avatar could get to it and access it. And he's like, Taga, why don't you stay behind and then you help them like with the final repairs and stuff. And Taga's like, okay. Let me tell y'all, Aang left and Taga tore them up. He tore all of them up. I'm talking literally on the brink of death. Because Katara confronted him and she's like, look, you don't have any good intentions for Aang. I know that you don't have any good intentions for Aang because I saw what you did to the denied ship. I saw what you did. You're nothing like Aang. You just need to like go ahead and come clean. And with that man let loose. I will say I was so disappointed in the way that he was able to just mop the floor with them. Now, After watching it, because I watched this movie twice, after watching it the second time, because the first time I'm like, there ain't no way Team Avatar got into like they mid to late 20s and y'all moving like this. Y'all was doing better as kids. But also, I will say, they've never fought against the airbender besides Aang. And then this airbender is like 5,000 plus years old. So, of course, there were going to be techniques and things that they had never seen before, like nothing that Aang has ever done. So, I gave a little grace, but at the same time, I was so disappointed because there's no way that that man should have been able to basically all of y'all, okay? And if it wasn't for Katara and her magic water, y'all all would have been literally, like, they said that. They said that because then after he takes care of all of them, he handles Aang. He get Aang up out of there. Mind you, Aang in the Avatar state. Aang needs to stop going into the Avatar state. Every time that man goes into the Avatar state, something happens. He is either on the brink of death or he is like, please stop fighting boss battles as the Avatar. Please, please, Aang. So, Aang meets Avatar Sonam. And this is also one of those points where I was like, okay, Aang is very childish because he's talking to Sonam and he's like, oh, like you found me, like how did you find this place? And he's like, oh, Taga brought me here. And she's like, Taga? What do you mean, Taga? Like he's pure evil. Why did you let him out? And Aang goes,
well, you made him an airbender. You gave him airbending powers.
Aang, now is not the time. Now is not the time for that, bro. Like, we're not here for that. You let him out. Okay. And then we find out that Taga did not become this evil, resentful person until, like I mentioned earlier, the Earthbenders unalived his brothers and sisters. That's when he was very, very grief stricken. And put a pin in that, y'all, because there's something that I'm going to say towards the end. Y'all may or may not agree with it if y'all have seen the movie, but I'm gonna say something towards the end in regards to that, and it does have to do with Aang. So Aang finds out that basically Sonam sealed away the staff because Taga was trying to use it for evil. Taga had gotten so powerful with it that she could not defeat him, but she sealed him away. That's how he ended up on the top of the mountain, and that's where she kept him. That's where she was hoping he would stay, and she just knew in her heart of hearts that that man would never be let out of there. And lo and behold, he was let out of there, and she's like, Aang, like, you gotta stop, bro. So Aang is on the brink of death. Here comes Katara, and her magic water brought him back because he was literally going through all the cycles. Bro was about to be also added to the Avatar cycle a little earlier than he needed to be, but he was saved nonetheless. So he wakes up, he asks everybody, hey, what the happened? And they're like, oh, you know, your little friend that you wanted to trust so bad, not only did he take the staff, but he also took Appa. And let me tell y'all, he just wasn't mad enough. That man was more mad at Toph when they were in the library about Appa being gone than in this moment when he found out that his new little friend took Appa. That didn't sit right with me, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie. I was a little irritated because I'm like, you were more mad. You were more mad. Like, are you not as mad because Airbender took Appa? Answer quickly. So Aang ends up calling on the water spirit. Yes, that water spirit. The water spirit that we saw at the Northern Water Tribe. Calls upon the water spirit to basically open up a portal so that they could go from where they were to Republic City. I thought that was kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I thought that was cool as hell. But when they're going through the portal, they enter the spirit world for a second, and everything is just so out of whack because of the things that Taga is doing. So Aang is a 12-year-old again. Zuko and Katara are old, and I peeped it, okay? I peeped that little joke in there when the spirit that they were talking to, the spirit was like a warthog with multiple eyes. When the spirit was like, oh, are you two a couple? To Katara and Zuko, because they were the only two old people, and Toph was a baby, and Sokka was what, 15 again, 15, 16 again. And Aang's like, no, they're not a couple. Like, he immediately was like, no, never. My girl, not yours. So they asked the spirit for help. The spirit was like, absolutely not. And then the spirit basically just did his part to get them other side of the portal so that they can be in Republic City. They're back in Republic City. Taga is running amok because not only is he destroying Republic City, like literally destroying what they have built, but he also gave the denied airbending powers. He gave the denied airbending powers. And I'm just like, wow, imagine. I know Aang feels so stupid right now. But Aang is like, okay, yeah, we gotta figure this out. So the rest of the gang, they're fighting the denied, and then Aang goes to find Taga. Taga has Taga basically unlocks the full potential of the staff, and he looks like a Red Hulk variant. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like, imagine Red Hulk as an ancient airbender. That's exactly what he looked like. And eventually, throughout their fight, Aang gets the hold of the staff. And then Aang unlocks the full potential. Let me tell y'all, he got that Avatar Sonam skin. I said, wait a minute, that's kind of cold. I like that. I like that. Okay, I like that. But all right, this is where I said that put a pin in what I had said earlier about the grief. All right, Aang has internalized anger within himself about the air nomads, and because of that internalized anger, once he got the full potential and the full power of the staff, he wasn't able to control it because of that internalized anger. The only thing that stopped Aang from becoming the same type of monster that Taga was the fact that he was able to hear once again the words of Mungiatso, and he said something along the lines of like, we're always with you, whether it be in this life or the next, we're always with you. So with that, Aang decides to break the staff, and when he broke the staff, all of the denied lost their powers. Taga lost his full ability, and because of how old he was, Taga just evaporated into the wind. He became a part of the wind. That was something that they kept reiterating throughout the movie too a little bit. So they began to clean up Republic City, and they also started making Air Nomad Temple. I thought that was so cute. I thought that was so cute. I was like, oh, because they didn't have one. And I was like, that explains another reason why Aang really wasn't there. Like, Aang does not stick around in Republic City, and he's gone for, we find out, long stretches of time, like long stretches. Like, Aang is never home. Okay, some of the members of the denied ended up becoming some of his now nomads, and they travel with him to find different types of relics and things like that that the air nomads had during their time. So there was a spot. This is probably my favorite part of the movie, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. There was a spot that Avatar Sonam told Aang about, and Aang's like, no one's been here for thousands of years, and Avatar Sonam told me about it. So, just if you see things that are unfamiliar to you, just know that no one's been here. Y'all, there were a bunch of bison. Like, there were so many little appas and big appas, and I was like, oh my god, Appa's not alone anymore. It's so funny because I was like, maybe it's because, I know later on that Aang's gonna have kids, but I was just like, oh my god, there's more appas. Appa's got friends now and blah blah blah. And I thought that was just so cute. Like, basically now everyone, even though they're not technically airbenders, they're considered nomads under Aang. So they all have like their little appas. And that was the end of the movie. So let me give you some of my other thoughts and breakdown of the movie. So let's start with the plot, the overall plot in the story. So the plot of the movie was basically Aang coming to terms with what had happened after he had left. And I really, really like this for a plot of the movie, because not only does it have to do with Aang and within himself and us learning more about him, it also has to do with how it affected the things that happened later on in Legend of Korra. Like, no tea, no shade, but we find out that Aang was not a good dad. He was really only there for Tenzin because Tenzin was the only other airbender besides him. Kai is a waterbender, Bhumi's a non-bender, so he was the only other airbender, so he spent a lot of time with him. And we also kind of saw like what that did when it came to Tenzin and how he went about things. So honestly, I was really, really happy with the plot. The plot gave a lot of detail. Not only was it really nice to see like what happened a good chunk of time after the original series ended, but also a lot before Korra. So I'm not gonna lie, y'all, 10 out of 10. The plot did such an amazing way of tying things together. And then there were things in the Legend of Korra where I was like, ooh, like that makes sense now. The voice acting within this, I honestly think that the voice acting was really, really done well. I will say I was a little nervous when I heard who the voice actor was gonna be for Zuko, because if y'all watch Invincible, y'all know that he has the same voice actor as Mark. And I was scared because I'm like, am I just gonna hear Mark throughout this entire time that Zuko talks? No, I did not. I think that the voice acting was really well. I thought that the casting that they picked was really well. The emotion was there. It was really good. Like I was nervous, but I think that the voice acting was great. I'll give the voice acting a 9 out of 10. The visuals, okay. The visuals. I would say the animation for the most part was beautiful and it was amazing, okay? I love how they did everything. I love how Republic City looked. I love how the area where the bison were looked. I love how the Lion Turtle Island looked. Even the Immortal Storm, I feel like there could have been a little bit more use of like lighting and stuff within the storm to make it just slightly more ominous. But overall, I really liked it. I liked how everything was done. My only nitpick is that I wish that lighting was used a little bit more, just a tad bit more. But overall, I'm going to give the visuals a 8.7 out of 10. Writing and dialogue. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. This might be the area where it got like this might be the area where it got like the least bit of points for me, just because like I said, Aang still felt like a child. Aang still felt like a child to me. And I don't know if it's because of his trauma. I don't know what it was, but it just didn't feel like there was any growth there when it came to Aang. And again, it could be just because he's stuck in his trauma. It could be a plethora of things, but I feel like we got a little bit more. I feel like we got a little bit more personality growth from Aang in season 3 of Avatar: The Last Airbender than we did in this movie. It kind of felt like a personality regression when it came to Aang. And with everyone else, I feel like everyone else was still themselves, but they felt like adults. Like Aang was the only one to me that still felt like a child. Again, that could be just because of him being within his trauma. I'm not taking away from that. However, I was just personally not a fan of that. So I gave I gave the writing for him, or like overall like I gave this a 7 out of 10, because the writing of the story itself was great. I just wish that the writing of like the main character was a little bit better. The sound and the music were done great. Like even at the points where there was no music and there was no dialogue, where it was like that point of silence, I feel like it was done so well. And if everything fit everywhere perfectly, like everything was like near perfect when it came to that. So I gave that a 9.5 out of 10. The editing and pacing of the movie was actually really perfect. There was no point where I felt like the movie was being rushed. There was no point where I felt like the pacing was off. I feel like the way that everything happened, it happened so perfectly. Even when Aang had come back to Republic City and left, I feel like if he didn't hear anything about Avatar Sonam, or if there was nothing that happened with the Deny, just because of the way that everyone's like, oh, Aang's always gone, I would have assumed that he would have left the way that he did anyway. So I'm going to give the pacing and all of that like a 9 out of 10. The world building was phenomenal because we got to see a little bit more. Like we got to see the Lion Turtle Island, where Sonam left his staff. We got to see a little bit more of the ruins of the air nomads. We got to see how gorgeous Republic City was. Like, honestly, the world building for me was a 10 out of 10. I loved it. I loved it so much. Entertainment value and emotional impact. I feel like this movie was such an amazing addition to the Avatar The Last Airbender Legend of Korra, the Avatar franchise, period. I feel like this movie was an amazing puzzle piece. It fit the original show and the continuation, it fit them together so perfectly. And if there were like any question, like, like, why are the non-benders rising up? Like, why are, some of those things? And I feel like this movie answers some of those questions. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it. This movie was, in my opinion, when it comes to that category, absolutely perfect. Um, I think it was great. Emotional impact. I think emotionally, this movie definitely touched on trauma. This movie talks about how trauma can impact people differently. And I'm going to tell you why. Aang was preaching so much to Taga about forgiveness. And you can't hold on to those things. However, y'all, just stick with me, all right? Stick with me and listen to me. Had Aang been there when the Fire Nation did what they did to the Air Nomads, Aang would have been just like Taga. It's so easy for Aang to say, "Oh, just forgive those people and just move on." Taga saw that firsthand. He saw what the Earth Kingdom did to his brothers and sisters. He saw what they were doing to their peaceful land. Like they came in and they did what they did. And Taga's like, bro, like I'm not with that. Like that peaceful stuff is going out of the window. It's so easy for Aang to be like, oh, I have to forgive it, because Aang is living in a different type of grief. Aang is living in a grief where he knows that what had happened to his people was his fault. He does not see the Fire Nation necessarily as the issue or the problem, because that wouldn't have been the issue or the problem had he not run away. So that's why I feel like emotional impact when it comes to trauma or feelings within a situation, it really was impactful, because here it is, you have basically the same situation, same scenario. You have a group of people that's coming in and they're doing these things to the air nomads. However, there is a different outcome based on the person. Taga was there and Taga wanted to fight violence with violence. And Sonam even said it. She said he was a peaceful man before that happened. He was a man that wanted to learn and love. And once that happened, that went all the way out of the window. So Aang is not going to harbor as much hate in his heart for the Fire Nation, because he knows that that is partially his fault. He knows that that's his fault. And not even partially, like fully. He knows that that's his fault. Had he not run away, they wouldn't have come and done those things to the air nomads. But had he been there to witness said thing, I truly think that Aang would have a completely different answer for Taga, or a completely different approach. So I'm going to give entertainment value and emotional impact a 10 out of 10. I absolutely am. The theme and the meaning, I'm gonna just, I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. The theme was great. The meaning behind the movie was great. I feel like they're actually, no, I feel like giving it an 8 out of 10 is gonna say that there's like room for improvement, but no, it was perfect. Let me give it a 10 out of 10. Overall, I'm going to give this movie a 8.9 out of 10. This movie was amazing. Okay, I see why people was just wanting to go and watch the leaks of the movie. I wasn't going to. Sorry, still wasn't going to. But overall, the movie was great. The movie was really, really good. And I know that there was like a lot of controversy and a lot of talk around a theatrical release. And I truly do feel like there should have been a theatrical release for this movie. This movie would have been beautiful in theaters. And that's that's literally one of their biggest like points. This movie definitely should have had a theatrical release, but movies get re-released or first time releases years later in the theater always. So maybe hopefully an anniversary of the movie, it'll get a theater release. I personally will be there to see it because I like to go to the movies no matter what. But maybe that's going to be something that they do. Maybe they don't. It's on Paramount Plus if you want to check it out. But that is all that I have for this. This is part one. And in part two, I'm going to talk about the avatars as a whole because y'all like to talk about core this and core that. Like I had said, I'm neutral when it comes to the avatars. However, we are going to talk about all the known avatars, and I'm even going to have to be honest about some of my faves, but we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about all of the avatars. So hope that you guys come back for that. And if you like this video, consider subscribing, maybe leave a like, comment, because I love talking to y'all. And that is it for today's video. Bye.